There are so many dark moments that I had, like growing the studios and, even this business, that you just think, how the am I going to do it? Like, it's just all these holy moments. But this is why we're so proud of you. But just seeing how far you've come, the team you've built, like just the aura around you, you just look like a force. All right, team, this episode is a little bit different to what you're used to. But I was recording this case study with Liv for something else that we were doing in the academy. And when she was talking through her answers and the transformation that she's had, there's a lot of what she was saying that a lot of you would relate to. And I really wanted you to hear this. The reason why I wanted to share this story is because Liv is doing all the things I've been telling you to do, all the things that I've been shining a light on, all the things that I've been shifting your beliefs around. And her story sounds so similar to everyone that turns up at our front door at the Geronimo Academy. She was calling the leads. She was making the sales. She was putting in the work. She was putting in the hours, but she wasn't making any money at the start. When she came to us, we found out what the true problem actually was, and we gave her the plan and she put the work in. She took fast action. She implemented. We always say the transformation comes from the implementation, not just the information. And then she went from being burnt out, losing members left, right, and center, to now adding almost $250,000 in profit annualized between her studios, working less than before, and now with a team around her, and becoming one of the fastest growing studios in the UBX network. And the truth is, the things that Liv did, they're not groundbreaking. You guys have heard this here before on the podcast. It's not like some secret code that you guys have never heard of before, but it's about finding what the true problem really is, doing the work, course correcting when things go wrong, and allowing yourself to being open to change and to being open to having a transformation. So if you're doing all the things and you're not making the money just yet, if you feel like you can't trust and delegate to a team, you don't have a fucking team, or you're still working silly hours and doing silly free trials, I want you to tune into this episode that wasn't meant to be an episode. So, Liv, you are, for us, a bit of a 0 to 100 story. I think just as a bit of a headline, you've put on about 100 members net. Is that right? Since you started with us.
Mm-hmm. At one gym.
At one gym? How much have you put on at the other one?
Probably about 150 total, between the two.
So I'll do a bit of an intro and then I'm going to dive into some questions. Did you have any businesses before these studios?
Nope. So
when you started, did you know how to run a team?
Absolutely not.
Did you know how to make sales?
Oh, sort of, but not.
Did you know how to create what you've created?
Accidentally moseying my way through.
So tell us a little bit about what you were struggling with before you joined us.
Well, I had 3 studios and I had gone from 1 to 3 really fast. And when I had 1, I was kind of doing it all and I feel okay, but I didn't really know because I had no perspective. And then all of a sudden I had 3 and the wheels were starting to fall off.
Normal. Yeah.
And I was just stuck and I realized I was I cannot keep going like this because it's just going to end in disaster. And I actually first reached out because someone else I knew was with you guys, Sam, and I knew how to get lead, had good flow, but the clubs were just, I had the one that I had taken over that I needed to get above board.
So what were the sort of top 3 issues that were holding you back?
Retention. Yeah. I could get sales, but then had a leaky bucket. And then it depended on the club, really. There were a few different things. The mount was the first reason I came to you guys and just really struggling to get members, sales. And because I had 3, I knew I couldn't do it all myself. So I wanted to figure out a process that I could delegate. And I didn't know how to do that.
So to assemble a team and how to delegate to a team, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. So Sam was working with us. And was that what made you decide to work with us specifically?
Well, I knew you sort of knew what you were doing because I copied his ads.
That's right. That's right. This is good.
Yeah.
So you copied his ads and then what happened?
We got heaps of leads and I was like, why? Because these ads aren't even that cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so copied his ads, we were getting heaps of leads. So I was like, okay, cool, this works. So these people sort of know what they're doing. And then I just didn't have enough time in the day. So I actually first came to you guys because I thought you just would sell my memberships for me. I thought I may as well do the program, the initial sort of program with the mount because we had nothing to lose, so we needed to turn it around. And then pretty quickly I realized if I go all in on if I'm going to do it, I need to do it properly. I need to go all in. And I just really liked that you weren't sort of teaching us well, you weren't taking it away from us. You were teaching us how to fish, essentially. And because I knew that I'd just end up in the same spot if I didn't actually know how to do it myself.
Wow. That's cool. I didn't know that. Okay. So let's talk about what has been your headline since working with us. So you put on net 150 at both clubs. What does that equal in terms of profit for you, or in terms of
so much more money?
How much?
Like over 20 grand a month.
So that's over 200 grand. That's about 240 grand a year in extra net profit, which is $250,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, right? Remember we talked about this the other day. You keep doing what you're doing in terms of how you're managing the businesses. You know, when every one of those dollars hits your bottom line, they can turn into three because of how the multiples and evaluations work of businesses. And how long did it take for you to achieve that?
Not as long as I thought.
6 months? Was it?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay. Let's talk about implementation and your experience, okay? Because again, this is like a standing on the shoulders of giants. I want people to be able to watch this and go, okay, she is my
idol.
She's my inspo. Let's see what we can do. Firstly, if you were to look back, what are the different strategies that you implemented along the way, almost in a sequence?
Well, first of all, it was a, oh my God moment. I dug myself a hole and how do I get out of this sort of thing? The more I started to learn, the more I realized, damn,
this is like real.
Yeah.
And
then it was just like picking one thing and working at it. So obviously sales was first, fixing that. And then I sort of went back and forth a little bit, like sales and then doing rollovers in the club. And I thought I needed to do the sales. So I was trying to sell, but then I wasn't making the connections in the club. And then I was really struggling with the rollovers. And I think that was partly being a multi, like it's a little bit different than probably your stock standard going through it. So I kind of have had to take it and then reshape it a little bit. So sales, and then realized I need to be in the club rolling these people over and I cannot be on the phones. So I hired Ash, who's been a godsend, and I don't know how I did it before her, and you guys helped with all of that, like the playbooks around how to hire a salesperson, and onboard her. And then when we had her and we had like a constant stream of people coming in each week, and then we started rolling over, and I got pretty clear in my head, like I need to just focus on one gym and
that's interesting.
Stop trying to do everything all at once, especially because they're like different kids with different issues. You say that all the time. And different personalities. And I've kind of just tried to focus on Ormiston. That kind of naturally happened too because we had whole new staff. Like I was also in the process of changing the staff. So it was kind of good because I could kind of compare what I was doing against each of the clubs a bit as well and what was working and what wasn't. And it also gave me a bit more confidence, I think, in my leadership because it was working really well at one club and it wasn't at the other. So in terms of like team stuff, it made me feel like, okay, cool, like I can do that with this new team. So it gave me way more confidence with kind of keeping the older team accountable at the other club. And so sales and then rollovers. And then once I started to get a handle on that, I brought in our manager in training, I guess. And now he's a manager and he's a gun and he's way better at rollovers than I am. He loves them.
Yeah. What's his name?
Maddie. Shout out.
Hey, Maddie. Shout out to Maddie.
He's been a lifesaver. And once we sort of had those in place, then we were able to get more into the team side of things and the dynamics and trying to get them firing all 5 cylinders. And I have been able to move into more of the stuff I enjoy.
Which is?
Just more of the back end stuff, holding them accountable, seeing them sort of get penny drop moments and light up instead of me doing it all.
Interesting.
Way more empowering than being on the ground and micromanaging.
So obviously your numbers have flourished. Do you think your team have flourished a bit more?
Oh, 100%. And because I've got the two, it's like night and day. And so that's been a bit of a challenge, like the mental challenge between the two, because I'm like, this is doing so well. Why is this one not? But the team that's doing well, like even just the group chats are so different.
Why?
Well, just because I think they're just so much more bought in. And like, as soon as someone messages, someone replies. As soon as someone needs cover, someone replies. I'm
hearing your team are way more aligned in the studio.
100%. 100%.
Interesting.
And even like small things, like we had a kind of a new green guy and he was actually at the other one and I switched him to Ormy and he has improved so much and come so much out of his shell. And
interesting. So the same person moved from a particular studio to the sort of like the winning one and it's brought the best out in him.
Oh, 100%. And I don't think he would be the coach he is now if he hadn't made the switch. And it was a bit of a sacrifice for him too, because it was further away and it was a bit more effort for him to get to. And I was like, trust me, I think this is going to be the best thing.
Interesting.
And now he's going to go back to the other one. And it's almost been like a cool way to promote him in a way, because I was like, you have grown so much. Do you want to go back to the other one? And he's like, yeah, that'll be really helpful. And also like, thank you so much sort of thing.
They're thanking you for for getting involved in working there. Yeah. Well, you know what we talk about, right? It's like high challenge, high support when we talk about high performance. So people want to be part of a winning team. That's the whole thing. You guys know that. It's the All Blacks. Now, okay, so run the audience through and be completely brutally honest, your experience. So obviously you've grown in terms of skills and your character, and we'll get to that in a second, but what did your typical week look like before us? And now what does your week look like in terms of structure and systems and what you're doing?
Well, I was putting out fires left, right, and centre. I was trying to be in 500 places at once. I was like driving from Auckland to the Mount and getting up at 3 a.m. to do it, so I didn't eat into my day. And I was just like burnt out and dying. And now I have way more flexibility. I love working from my computer and like having a bit more of a bird's eye view of the place. And I have more trust in the team too. And I feel like I'm becoming a better leader. Like I'm not micromanaging and stuff as much. Because
tell me more about that.
Now I can point to like a KPI more so, right? Whereas before I didn't have the processes and I didn't have that support around the team. So like I was trying to hold them to a standard, but it was kind of getting like they were trying, but we didn't know if they were doing good versus bad. And it could be subjective. And I feel like my motto for this year has been to move from like reactive to proactive. And I mean, I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm definitely way further along than I used to be.
Liv, I remember, actually, let's go out to start. Tell us about day one. Tell us about when you first signed up for us. What was going through your head?
I remember the sales call with Anna, and I was pacing up and down outside the club. And I kind of just had like a good gut feeling about it, and I kind of just needed to know that it made sense. And I was like, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. I just got to do this and see how it works. And so because I was doing it with the other gym and I sort of started to see it clicking, I was like, I need to do this at the other studios as well. Right. And then I went on holiday and I came back and I was like just so overwhelmed. At that point, the realization was setting in of like how much of in the stuck I was. And we had, was it like a summit, I think? And I like stuck around afterwards and I just bawled my eyes out to you guys.
Yeah. We often say that's why we train shoulders at the gym, because we become the shoulders to cry on sometimes. Yeah. And everyone's entitled to a holy fuck moment or two. That's what I remember. So it was like, fucking recount that. Like, think of where you are right now. You're up 150, respectfully making a stackload of cash. You've grown as a leader. You've grown as a person, would you say?
Oh, 100%.
This has obviously made a positive impact on your business. Has it probably bled out into other parts of your life?
Yeah. And that's something I always say to people when they are like asking me like the nitty gritties, or like they just care about like, have you got more sales? And then I'm like, it's not about that. Like, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's all the mindset stuff as well. Like, it's been massive to the point I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I don't have a gym, because I really need to still be part of Toronto.
Yeah, we'll find a way. Because like you've built all this, but like I want you to know that at the start.
You think I'd be a bin chicken?
No, not at all. Like, are you joking? Like, there are so many fucking dark moments that I had, like growing the studios and, you know, even this business, that you just think, how the fuck am I going to do it? Like, it's just all these holy fuck moments. But this is why we're so proud of you, because that's all on film. Like, that's all recorded, those shots. We might even splice it into here. Yeah.
How embarrassing.
And then, but just seeing how far you've come, the team you've built, like just the aura around you, like you just look like a force now. And I still think you got more in you.
Once I discover what my 10% is.
Fucking oath. Yeah, fucking oath. But if you were to go back now, like now, 6 months on, you're sitting on top of 150 net fucking members, what would you go back and tell little Liv back then?
What, a year ago?
Well, yeah, when she was crying, like, what would you go back to yourself on day one?
Trusted process. I think my mentality, like, although I was crying my eyes out, I kind of know how I am. I knew it was going to be all good, but I knew I needed to, like, double down. And so I think I was still telling myself that then. But yeah, it's like do the work and try to enjoy it and learn as much as you can and try not to sweat the small stuff and be patient. It's not going to like happen all at once, like layer and fill it up. So I think I'll like get to a point, I'm like, cool, have a breather. And then I'm like, oh, I got to go again. So like getting better at filling as well. Like it'll be all good. Just keep moving. And I think the trust is really big because people expect results straight away and maybe they're not fully in it yet. And I don't think you can really get as much out of it if you don't go deep.
Yeah, trust the process.
And just do what you say.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. Or Soph. Or Ash. Or Ash.
Yeah, or Ash.
I don't know if you guys know, Ash is a bad bitch. Like, she's my security guard. When we hang out, we all go up to the Gold Coast for some other projects. Like, I just wait for the day that Ash comes up to me and goes, all right, Doze, we need to go and hurt someone and you can't ask me any questions. I'd be like, okay, whose car did we take?
Not mine, not the Bronco.
Yeah, not the Bronco. Makes too much noise. Okay, so what would you say to someone who's on the fence thinking about joining Geronimo and like get really authentic here, like completely unfiltered? What advice would you give them and what would you say to them?
Literally everything you always say in your intro. Stop looking for a quick fix because it's not going to happen. Or if it does happen, like you're just going to end up in the same spot probably later on anyway. And stop trying to avoid like the hard work probably. I think it goes back to, everyone wants a quick fix or they want someone to do it for them. Like I have so many people now coming to me being like, can I use your salesperson or can you do this for me? And I'm like, no. Go do it yourself. Otherwise you're not going to learn and you're going to end up in the same spot. And also like that's a disservice to the hard work I've done and what you guys do as well. And I feel like I back it so much now that I'm like offended. People say that.
Yeah. It's like when I climbed Machu Picchu, 4 days in the Andes, 2.5 kilometers in the sky, battling with the altitude sickness and chewing on cocoa leaves all out the mountain. And then you get there on the 4th day for sunrise. And then like you take the photo, which means so much more to you, but then a train turns up and people come off the train and they just walk up those little stairs and take the same photo and you just go, fuck you, you shouldn't be allowed to. Like you did not earn that photo. It's the same thing. Like get away. Like Ash is yours. Like she deserves you, but also you deserve each other because you know what it took to put the work in to do that. So then Ash knows that she's got a better leader in you because like ultimately at the end of the day, if she's having a shit week, shit time on the phone, or if she just needs you to kind of hold her to a standard and pull her up, then you actually can because you did that.
Yeah.
You did what she's doing. So many people that we meet that try to like transplant a stage, you can't skip the dip. I think what you've managed to do, Liv, and this is where I'm going to like do some bragging for you because I know it probably doesn't come naturally to you. And we're not going to say those words. But real talk of, okay, great. Awesome. You're making a lot of money. You're up 150. That's awesome. And all the lives that you're changing over there, that's really fucking cool. What I notice in you, what Sophie notices in you, what Ash and Ben notice in you is the fact that you weren't immune to hitting a fucking brick wall, like a holy shit moment where you're like, I don't know how to do this. No one would have blamed you for just throwing your hands up in the air and just going, business got hard. I'm too young. I shouldn't have done it. I'm just going to like blame the economy or whatever. No one would have blamed you. But you got to those holy shit moments. You might have had a wobble or two. You're more than entitled to, but then you kind of just like picked yourself up again. You took the advice. You weren't an asshole. And then you implemented, like was part of your game plan that you were going to get a salesperson. Then you got a salesperson. You asked me for the job description, gave you a job description. You went and used it. You went and hired. You followed the advice. And then you landed Ash. Ash made 88 sales in the first 5 minutes or something, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, the next thing, dual converter framework. You're like, okay, cool. Then you went and did that. Like, that's what I want people to know is that like, we can't take the holy shit moments away from you. That's business. That's life. But it's how we respond to those things that create what we call the defining moments. And that's why we fucking respect you, Liv.
Thanks.
Don't tell anyone. No one's watching this, by the way.
I think just a big thing, I guess going back to one of the questions you said before, like, why did I start? Another thing was the fact that you guys had done it yourselves was massive because if you could do it, then you were actually not feeding me BS. And it made it so much easier to just trust the process. because you guys have been there before and you've done it. And even if I was a bit skeptical, or everything made sense, like when you break it down, and then if it's not going to work, like I just knew I couldn't carry on doing what I was doing because it clearly wasn't working. And sometimes things don't work, maybe, or I need to like switch them a little bit to like, I don't know, our concept or whatever. But yeah, I think just the trust is massive. Otherwise, if you don't trust it, then you're only going to do it for 2 seconds. And then as soon as one little hiccup, and then you're like, oh, this doesn't work. And it's like, but did you go deep enough in it? Yeah, I think beyond just the sales, like I'm sure so many people start, I mean, same as me, I came in like, okay, I need to sell some memberships. But then as soon as like you have that eye-opening moment of like, wow, it's about so much more than just that. It's about running the gym, but then also like growing as a leader and as an entrepreneur and everything as well. I think when you have that moment, you can't ignore it, I guess.
Wow, that's huge. When did you have that moment? When did
Pretty
you have
early.
that? Did you?
Yeah.
Once you sold all these people?
I think maybe some people probably just get it or they don't as well. It's the same as what I say when we're hiring now, based on you guys' hiring stuff. Like you either get it or you don't. And even lately we've had, we've hired, and I've been way more confident in my hiring decisions, but then they like haven't really been up to par. And they've selected out, and like it sucks and it's annoying. But before, I would have been like crying and like, oh my God, what do I do? I've got no one to work, and like, am I going to be back on the floor, and blah, 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 blah. And like, sure, I still have like a day like that, especially when it's like out of nowhere. But I'm like, I'd way rather have that happen and them not be up to the quality that I want and them self-select out than have them filling the gap. And then I've got
your
like
standards have increased.
Oh, 100%. And I'm not as stressed about it because I'm way more confident in my ability to just find the next person. And I'd way rather just find the next person, see, like, go hard.
You definitely have grown as a person.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's what I try to tell myself when I hit a wall now. Think about the way you used to react to this situation.
Wow.
Like this hiring stuff at the moment. I'm like, if this was a year ago, I would have been like depressed. And like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I would have
and again, no one would have blamed you. Yeah.
And now I'm like, sure, it sucks. And I like have a whinge about it for like a hot minute. And then, but the next day I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? And it's resolved like way quicker. And I feel like the action time or the resolution time on problems is just getting like faster and faster as time goes on.
So there are plenty of business owners out there now, Liv, like plenty of people in New Zealand, in Australia, wherever. They're suffering the same problems that you've actually solved. They're still out there with shitty lead flow. They're not making enough sales. They're scared to push their team because what if they leave? Their team's disengaged. They're going to bed kind of staring at the ceiling thinking, fucking hell, how do I get out of this? Or they're waking up like dragging themselves to work because they're not excited about their business anymore. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to those people?
Do something about it. Literally, like stop feeling sorry for yourself. I don't know, like it's literally not going to change unless you change something. So why don't you just change something? And the worst case scenario, it's not going to work and you're just going to try something else. You're already stuck. So
you're already stuck. You may as well, what should I do?
Call you.
Don't call me.
Hey, Dozer.
I'll put my phone over on the internet, yeah. Now, who shouldn't come to us? Let's get real.
People that can't be bothered or want a quick fix or want people to do the work for them or don't want to get yelled at for not doing their sell by chats.
Do I yell at people? I yell at people. Is it worth it?
I mean, sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't need this today, does it?
But you know it comes from a place of love, right?
100%.
I fucking care about you guys. All I do is think about you guys, and I want good people to win. And sometimes I don't know any other way. And trust me, like I've been developed. It's like I pay people way more than you guys pay me to like refine me a little bit, or they try.
But I think that's the thing too, right? Like it's that care factor. And I think that's why I believed in it so early on, is because I could tell you guys actually gave a crap and you weren't trying to take money or whatever. Like I could tell how much you guys cared, and I want to be around more people like that. Because it's not just about the gym. It's not just about the gym.
I know, yeah. I've got Slack channels here internally about you guys, right? And I just don't want to take someone's last dollar. Like, I just don't want to be part of it. I couldn't sleep at night. So I'm glad that you feel the care. I want to go deep with people and stuff. And I believe businesses are the most powerful personal development instruments out there. You can read as many books as you want, but try and grow a business. You need to search inside you to find different parts of you. But, mate, to wrap it up, you're a legend. Keep going.
Thanks. Got some homework.
Yeah, you have homework. You do have homework, but I know you've got more in you. Well, we talk about the 3 levels of business. You've gone from level 1 to level 2, and you're almost at level 3. I want to take you to the top of level 3, whatever your top is, right? It's not up to me to decide what your top is, but you've got homework to do this weekend, and then you're going to come back to me next week, and then we're going to take you to the top, whatever that top is for you. Okay? You're a legend, mate.
Thank you.
All right, Tim, as I mentioned, that was a bit of a different episode today, but I hope you got something out of it. The key takeaway from this episode is you can't do it all yourself. Even LeBron had a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach. You think Rafael Nadal, if that's how you say it, doesn't have a coach? You're dead wrong, right? In order to reach the next level in your business, you need to surround yourself with people who can show you the next level. You need to be able to build a team. You need to be able to trust the team. You need to develop clear processes and take action even when it's hard, even when it's going to challenge you and your character, and it definitely will. If that episode fired you up and you're feeling inspired and you want to take things to the next level, shoot me a message over on Instagram at hey.dozer and we'll have a chat, because all it takes is one defining moment to completely change your life. And if there was someone else that you think needed to hear this episode as well, share it to them and I will love you forever. Okay, bye.